I'm Emily Cook, and I am the Senior Manager of Content, Community, and Digital Engagement with Every Learner Everywhere. We are so thrilled to be here with you today to discuss how student insights can really impact your institutional research and data-informed teaching strategies. So I did want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about Every Learner Everywhere and who we are. We are an organization that is a network of partner organizations, and we advocate for successful academic outcomes for all post-secondary education learners. And we do that through advances in digital learning. So we at Every Learner believe that through digital learning, faculty can adapt instruction to students' needs and capabilities to promote active and collaborative learning more easily and support learners and improve academic outcomes. And we also believe that intentionally bringing students into the conversation is how we catalyze that institutional transformation through our digitally enabled evidence-based teaching and learning practices. So at Every Learner Everywhere, we have brought students into the conversation as much as possible. We believe nothing about us without us. And so we have led a very important and invaluable student internship program over the past few years. And through that program, we are able to bring students into our work and embed them into the work intentionally. So the students have the opportunity to really work and contribute to our resources that we're developing and our services that we're delivering to the field. And we know that bringing that student perspective into the work that we do will really help impact the ultimate students in the classroom. And so we are so thankful and fortunate to have the student internship program and partner with the students in this valuable work. And in addition to the student internship program, we also like to host these student panels as well and bring students into these conversations directly with the field. And so through our internship program, we've done a lot of valuable work, as I mentioned, for our service delivery and also for our resources that we deliver. And most recently, our recent cohorts helped collaborate on this wonderful resource. It was actually fully student researched and student led. And so this research really helped us identify the AI landscape on campuses, right? So a lot of the conversations we were having with faculty at conferences and through our work, we were understanding how faculty are using and implementing AI in their courses, but also trying to understand how students might be using or implementing AI in their learning journeys. And so we recognized that there was a bit of a disconnect. And so we understood that there was a spectrum on both ends, some super users and some not users at all in the AI space, both with faculty and with students. So we really wanted to understand how can we bridge that gap and really turn this conversation into just that, where faculty and students can understand how each other are using AI, how they can collaboratively work together to use AI effectively in the classroom, and how they can mutually decide how to move forward, how to use AI to inform that learning experience in the classroom. And so our students first did a lot of research on the tools, right? What's out there, especially in the education space, what's effective in the education space. We asked students to really look through what might have been helpful for their coursework, for their learning. And then we asked students to look at some tools that are helpful for faculty as well. Then we took it a step further and had students really go out on their campus, right, and talk to their peers and talk to their faculty. So they developed some survey questions that they were able to implement in talking with faculty and talking with their peers and other students on campus on how they're using it, what tools they're using, and why they might have selected certain tools. And so with all of that great research, we compiled it into this wonderful resource that was, again, fully student researched and written and available to the field. So you can download the resource here with the QR code. And in conjunction with the resource, we also have this AI Toolkit Database. So again, as I mentioned, we had the students research the types of tools that are being used in the higher ed space. And so this toolkit is a database full of a list of tools that are being used, how they're being used, some notes, some pricing, and some really helpful information. And the great thing about this database is that it is two-way. So it's there as a resource for faculty and students to understand kind of what tools are out there, but also it's open for input. So if you're using a tool that is not listed there, we invite you to submit it to be added to the list for other faculty and students to be able to leverage those tools on their campuses as well. So without further ado, I am pleased to have join us our student panelists today to help us have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation around meaningful collaborations between faculty and students and how those conversations and incorporating students in the work can really help shape that course curriculum or policies on your campus in meaningful ways, particularly for students. So today I am joined by Tanaya and Braden. I don't believe Megan was able to join us on the call, but I would like to turn it over to you, Tanaya, to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Thank you all for having me. My name is Tanaya Tatano. I am a rising senior at Spelman College. I major in political science with a secondary education minor, and I'm also from Norfolk, Virginia.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tanaya. I'm not sure if Braden is connected currently, so I think what we'll do is we'll go into the first question, and when Braden's able to join us, we will incorporate her in the conversation. So we'd like to know, and Tanaya was very integral in this resource development, so thank you, Tanaya, for your contributions. We couldn't have produced it without you. And so through your experience with Every Learner, you've been invited into conversations about how AI is used in your courses and on your campus. And when you think about a time your own experience or research could have shaped a course or policy but didn't, what would you have wanted faculty or leaders to hear from you? And how would you want that input to be used?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. So through your experience with Every Learner, you've been invited into conversations about how AI is used in your courses. When you think about a time your own experience could have shaped a course or policy but didn't, what would you have wanted faculty or leaders to hear from you? And how would you want that input to be used?
Yes, so actually, this is an interesting question. So my school has just came out with like new policies about using AI in the classroom. So honestly, the decision is really left up to the professors and how much they want AI integrated into the classroom. That makes sense. So they have the autonomy to decide if they want students using AI, or if when it comes down to them using AI in the classroom as well. So I really think with that policy, I think it was better for the teachers to have that choice. I don't know how it is at other schools when it comes to AI being used in the classroom, but giving the teachers that choice to have their students using AI, or if they use AI for themselves in the classroom, I think was the best decision. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I don't have a specific moment of where I had an experience when, AI could have been integrated or it could have changed a policy or something. I didn't have a personal experience when it came to that, but that was the only thing that I could think of was those new policies that came out.
Great. So let's just imagine that at your campus, they decide to build a standing student faculty group to co create AI guidelines and course designs. From where you sit as a student, what is one concrete practice institutions should adopt so students are not just consulted, but genuinely shaping decisions? And what would help you trust that your contributions are taken seriously?
Yes, I think even just being able to have conversations with the board of trustees, since they are the ones that are generally funding our college. Um, when I served on student government, we weren't really allowed to sit in conversations with the board of trustees. So to ensure that our voices are being heard and that we can make effective change and immediate impact would be having those conversations with the people who are employed to and equipped to help us out with that. Um, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you. So, when you are invited into campus research projects or decision making spaces, maybe about AI or not, such as committees, focus groups, or course design meetings, how does that experience feel to you personally and academically? Can you share a moment when you felt truly included and what specifically made the difference?
Yes, as I said before, I worked on student government. I'm also in a volunteer organizations called the Bonner Foundation. And just being able to be a servant leader in those spaces is the most impactful. We get to be engaged in discussions surrounding our college, um, those uh, those places that affect our community as well. Whether that's the Atlanta University Center or just our surrounding community in the West End. Um, I love that our college does a good job of trying to integrate student leaders into these discussions because we're the ones out there putting in the work, actually having conversations with those community stakeholders. So that is something that is very impactful to me.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, so we have another question. And also, I want to pause and let the audience know that we did want to leave time for audience questions. So if you do have a question, feel free to pop it in the chat and we will try to address it should we have the time. So if your instructors, Tanaya, if your instructors and your institution regularly brought students into the planning of course policies and assignments, what kinds of student generated evidence or perspectives would you want them to consider? Like, what would meaningful shared decision making actually look like from your point of view?
I think the main thing is having grades put in on time. It's interesting that you asked me this question because I actually have a teacher that uses AI to give us feedback on some of the work. She says she doesn't use it like for the entirety of giving us feedback. Like she may go in and make some edits herself, but I think it would be not a bad idea to have AI check in our work in some type of way. Um, More so specifically when we get around times for like midterms or finals, like it takes a long time for us to get our grades back, and you will always have different teachers saying the same things. So I think having a discussion about, you know, how we can get grades to students faster, I think, AI being a consideration wouldn't be a bad thing.
Great, thank you. And with that, we do have a question from the audience. So, Tanaya, do you think the teachers have a full understanding of what you or other students could do with AI?
No, I don't think a lot of teachers have a full understanding. At my college, we do have a lot of staff that are on tenure and have been there for a long time. And with that, they're very traditional. So, they know about AI, they're aware about AI, but that is not something that they are interested in exploring and even learning more. about the effects and the impact of AI. What are the pros and what are the cons of it? They just don't want to be bothered with it at all. Um, I do believe that now that we're in the face of AI advancing and technology is continuously advancing, I do believe that it is necessary for us to have some courses or coursework on how to ethically practice with AI, not just students, but also faculty and staff. So then that way we can, in some ways, mitigate and reduce, undesired outcomes when it comes to using AI in the classroom. I think that that will be helpful.
As a follow-up, have you had a course that has included AI in the coursework? So, any assignments that explicitly allowed for and helped students learn with using AI?
Um, Not really. Like I said, I do have a professor, she that uses AI when it to give us feedback on certain work. She encourages us to use it on some assignments. She was like, y'all have AI, which is your best friend, try to use it. But I really think it's more of a trust thing that she has with us. We pretty much know what her expectations are when it comes to completing assignments. So she doesn't really have any worries there when it comes to us using it. But there currently aren't any courses like around the entire school that, students can take to help them learn or how to use AI ethically and effectively. But I think that is something that's coming soon because our interim president has just now came out with a not a fundraiser campaign, but it's like they're pouring money into, ways of how to technologically advance the school. And one of those things were about AI use and how they can implement classes and coursework for students to take.
Oh, that sounds great. So
Yeah.
another follow-up along those lines. So in a course, have you used AI tools in ways that actually made you more engaged in the learning process? So not just to complete an assignment faster, but to genuinely dig deeper into a topic. Can you walk us through what that looked like?
Yes, so actually this is for one of my secondary education courses. So that just means that I'm getting my teacher certification to teach in middle school and high school. So in one of my classes, I was using AI to help me lesson plan, and my professor encouraged it. We have a very rigorous program at my school, our teacher prep program. So we go through rigorous coursework in curriculum and methods, how to use instructional strategies and how to use pedagogy in our instructional methods. So I was using AI to help me create a lesson plan and help organize my ideas from the course content. It really helped me dive deeper than like making an entire lesson plan for me because I already had the ideas. I was just using AI to help me organize my ideas. And you will be surprised, like even me being in the field, because we do have to get field experience along with our teacher preparation. Even my co-teachers, the teachers that I'm in the classroom with in middle school, they're using AI as well. So everyone is using AI to create lesson plans and everything. And I understand how some people may be against it, but it actually really does help. And it's not like it's taking away your ideas from yourself. It's just you have the ideas and you're asking it to organize it. And and it helps you come up with more ideas of like, oh, how I can make this into a whole unit plan, or how I can use more research and pedagogy into my instructional methods and strategies. So I'm sorry if that was long-winded, but
Well, no, it's great. Really insightful. So I want to circle back to the research that you helped contribute with Every Learner Everywhere, and your experience in conducting that research on your campus. How did it feel to be a part of the research process, and to see your work being published?
It was really amazing. I was really shocked by some of the responses from students and faculty, more so the faculty because I've known them for quite some time. So for some of them, I didn't expect for them to be like pro AI and this is what policies that should be established on our campus. So hearing their feedback and what they wanted was a very interesting process. It helped me grow more as an aspiring researcher. And overall, being able to see that publication, like I really feel like we contributed to something bigger than us and we made, some type of impact when it comes to research on AI usage and what success outcomes that could be for students.
That's fantastic. And so, do you feel that that model of being a part of the research process can be implemented across your campus in other ways? Do you feel that at Spelman, your institution, would be open to that collaborative environment of incorporating the student perspective into policies or course development in any way?
Yes, I believe so. We are a liberal arts college. And for the most part, I believe that they value student voices. So I think that is something that my college would be open to. I think it's also a great way to get student experiences as well. Like if you're going to be making decisions on how students learn and what format and modalities that they should learn, you should be open and receptive to student feedback and what they will want for their own learning experiences. So yeah, I will be all for that if that were to happen.
Great. And we have another follow-up question from the audience. As you are explaining how you've collaborated with the faculty, it appears that you value AI on some level, and as do your teachers. So how do we explain or relay this to those insulated instructors that might not be as open or collaborative? Do you have any ideas on that? And I feel like the research that you did might shed some insights on this.
Yes, it might be a cliche answer, but really just research, like doing your research and understanding, what AI is and how to ethically and effectively use it. One of the best things about the research that we did, that's a start. Like you can have a head start on the insights of what not just students are saying about their learning experiences, but also faculty and staff. So yeah, just exploring more, doing more research, getting more knowledgeable before, actually going in with 2 feet. Because you can't say that you dislike something if you haven't tried it, or at least, made an attempt to understand it. So that's where I would start.
Great. And I have one follow-up question. So if you could give one piece of advice to a faculty member or an instructional designer about AI and the student experience, what would it be?
I would just say being open with your students, because whether you like it or not, students are going to use AI. You have students that use it more than others. So having that conversation with your students at the top of the semester and having some transparency there. Not saying that you're fully allowing or even encouraging your students to use AI, but if they do so, if they do choose to use it, telling them to make sure you at least cite it, and also it never hurts to, if you know for yourself how to use AI ethically and effectively, giving them a short lesson on how to use AI in the most effective way, so that the desired outcomes that you have for your class when they're using AI, you get those results. So I would just say starting the school year off or the semester off with that transparency with your students.
I love that. A lot of what we have discussions with faculty often leads with the transparency and how meaningful that is for the students. I think that that's often overlooked. in the classroom, and the what it means to students can't be measured, right? And we see that time and time again when we have these conversations with students, they share that the most meaningful interactions with faculty come from that transparency. And I spoke earlier about that spectrum of adoption on AI, and how, policies might not have been established, but there was this real gray area between the faculty and the students on what is allowed. Am I allowed to use AI? Am I not allowed to use AI? And it wasn't always explicit. And so those conversations we've had with faculty, hearing from students often about understanding that it may not be allowed, and that's okay. And we understand and we accept that. But if it's not communicated to us, how do we know?
Yeah.
And then now, through the evolution of AI, there's been this shift of, it's not going away, and faculty understanding that having to learn it and implement it in the course is becoming a real necessity, and that the more that they can co-collaborate with students through that learning journey is really mutually beneficial, both for the faculty member and for the students. And then we also like to highlight the career readiness piece of how in the workplace AI is a real skill that most jobs and companies are really seeking students coming into the field with AI experience. And so we recognize that institutions and courses are a great way for students to develop those AI skills, to really be fluent in AI literacies. And that conversation has to start in the classroom and on the campuses. So just a couple takeaways from our experience with collaborating with students. This resource and this work has been a really great model for what it means to incorporate students in the research, and then also have these conversations continuously with students. One thing that we value and we know is that students are always willing to participate. They're always willing to share their perspectives, and that's what we love about our student internship program. That's what we love about our student panels, because students really want to influence that co-collaboration on campuses and really be a part of the conversations. We also know that when students are doing the research, they're able to have conversations with their peers and might have more conversation if it's peer-to-peer, right? So we love to encourage faculty to have these conversations in the classroom and small groups, right? Separate your students into little groups, have conversations around AI use or whatever course curriculum that you're struggling with that you would like to evolve and modify and change. Have students talk about it, and then they're more willing to talk to each other and then share those findings on the broader scale. And so that's what we loved about this research. We had students go out on their campus, ask questions, but then they also got comfortable having those conversations with faculty on the campus as well. So the more that you drive those conversations and open the space to have those conversations, the more willing students are to contribute and to collaborate. So thank you, Tanaya, for this conversation. I really appreciate all your insights. I know that the audience found it very valuable as well. But I also want to thank you for your never-ending contributions to the Every Learner work. And we wish you all the best on your collegiate journey and in your future career. So thank you. And I did want to share with everyone a little bit more about staying connected with Every Learner Everywhere.